Back, Ireland Contracting, Not Like Sports Call Pittsburgh CW, 412-575-2600 puts you in touch with us. Bob Pompeani and Gene Collier with you until 11 o'clock. Gene, no drama over at the minicamp today. Juju Smith-Schuster talked about a knee injury, but said he should be fine and said he would like a more intense workload, perhaps. He may have to get that if James Washington can't step up because there is the void of Martavis Bryant. What do you suspect will happen there? Would it be Washington moving in and assuming some of that yardage and those plays, or is it going to have to regard Juju Smith-Schuster playing more and coming up with bigger plays?
No, I think the Steelers would like to see Washington fill that role. And obviously Juju, I mean, I'm glad he's going to be okay. It is only June 12th, so I expect him to be okay for the first day of Maxi Camp.
Yeah, Maxi Camp coming up. We have a lot of tweets coming in here. This one from Bob Sassu says, Ilya Kovalchuk's 35 years old, coming back to the NHL. Thoughts on if the Penguins trade Kessel to sign Kovalchuk to play with Gino? That's getting a little bit ahead of yourself there. But it's interesting that Kovalchuk did go away, and now he's going to be coming back. He's 35, Gene. What do you think's left in his tank?
Nothing.
Okay. Therefore, I wouldn't make that dude. We also have Woody says, Vasquez is Bastardo with a better arm. No movement, straight down the middle, hanging meat. Let's go out the line, too. That's Dale in Brookline. What's up, Dale? How are you?
Hey, Bob. What's happening?
How you doing?
Well, I don't know. This owner of the Pirates, obviously he doesn't want to stick any money into the team. And he doesn't really care if there's 10,000 people to show up down there at the stadium who we paid for, correct?
Yeah, but I think he does care that he's going to have to figure out a way to get more people there. I don't think he wants to see 10,000, 12,000. I guarantee you that. That means less money. He's a money man.
As far as Harrison and Mercer is concerned, I think these guys are like, hey, trade me. You're a losing ball club. I don't want to play for you.
All right. Gene, your take on that?
I didn't hear anything there that I disagreed with.
All right. Let's go out to line 4. Mike in Breezewood. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good.
Hey, earlier you said you don't have any idea why Vasquez doesn't throw anything but the fastball. My question to you, last night you kind of defended Hurdle. Where's Hurdle in all this? Can he kind of dictate what's done? We bring up Hurdle in these conversations about what kind of manager he is. Do you ever think he's won more games than what his team was capable of? It seems to me, even when they were winning division or making the playoffs, they were a wild card team, but they had potential to.
Well, but they also had 98 wins in one of those years, and they had 95 in another, I think. So, I mean, they were just in a very difficult division. They ended up being 3 teams in that, and they all made the playoffs. So I don't know how many more wins you could have thought he could have gotten.
Well, with him in his entire tenure here at Pittsburgh, his teams have always been bad on basic fundamentals.
True.
With poor base running, can't get bunts down when needed.
Don't even try half the time.
That's been the story of his team since he's been here. With a little bit more of that, they possibly could have got over the hump to win division. That's my complaint with Hurdle. His teams don't do the little things that are needed.
And they haven't
to win balls.
And fundamentally, they are a flawed team. I don't think there's any question. But if you're suggesting they're going to make a change, he just signed a 4-year contract extension. If there was going to be a change, it would have been before Bob Nutting handed over that money to both him and Huntington. Gene, would you agree with that? They're not going to make a change.
No, I mean,
we could sit here all we want and say blow the whole thing up, but they're going to do what they do. And
as we mentioned on the show last night, if you think that Bob Nutting, whom we're always criticizing, is going to pay 2 managers and 2 general managers, and that's ridiculous. As for how fundamentally flawed the Pirates are, I can only tell you that I watch a lot of baseball, and it's like I see that from every team.
Yeah, you see guys not running things out. That's one of my big pet peeves in baseball. The guys don't run anything out. Now, last night Polanco, and I was a little critical of him, but today I heard that Clint Hurdle said that he's been dealing with a hamstring, which then begs the question, if he's having hamstring issues, why is he playing over Meadows at all? So
why is he playing? Why is he playing a day game after a night game?
With hamstring issues.
It doesn't make any sense.
And he ran hard to first base to beat out an infield single today in the game, but I saw last night where he kind of just pulled up and didn't run at all. I realized he thought he was going to be out, but if everybody thinks they're going to be out, then why run at all? I mean, nobody should run, and they don't.
That's the new way of running the baseball. Hit the ball, look at it, figure out what you think it is, try to get to that base.
But did you ever think you could force an error by speed? You could do that. You could rush a guy.
Make the ball stop you is the principle.
Matt and Butler, what's up, Matt? How you doing?
Hey, I totally agree with that comment. The fundamentals are terrible. Mm-hmm. Beyond the fundamentals, this team doesn't have one relief pitcher who can come out in any inning and close an inning, let alone finish closing a game. I mean, they just have absolutely nothing coming out of the pen.
No,
combined with the fact that they've struggled to score runs, it's a disaster.
It's been really tough to watch that bullpen. They're young, many of them inexperienced, but still, that's the team they came north with, and they let George Contos go, which I didn't have a problem with. But he represented a veteran who you would have thought would have stuck around no matter what, but he didn't, which was a good move. But they don't have guys right now ready to do this. And this includes Michael Feliz, who started the season very well. He was involved in that trade for Garrett Cole as well, but lately he hasn't been able to do anything, Gene.
Feliz got through an inning last night without giving up a run. It was the first time in 7 appearances that he did not allow 1, 2, or 3 earned runs. I mean, I don't want to argue about it, but up until yesterday, Santana was a pretty reliable guy out of the bullpen in his role, and Brault, for whatever he is, they can't seem to figure out what he is, but he does give them some innings.
All right, line 5, we go Dale in Highland Park. What's up, Dale? How are you?
Oh, hi, Bob and Gene. You know what? Hockey season's not over yet. If you look at the American Hockey League, they're in the Calder Cup Finals now, and tomorrow night is Game 7 between Toronto and Texas. And I don't think we get a whole lot of minor league hockey coverage here in Pittsburgh. What do you think?
They're not going to either.
I agree with you, and I'm all for it.
412-575-2600. Sorry about that, but there's too many other things in this city that we worry about, especially when none of the teams involved are Penguin affiliates. So I think that's the way it goes. All right, we have this from Mark DiStefano on Twitter. You can tweet us at KDPomp, at Gene Collier. He says, who do you like in the U.S. Open starting tomorrow? The greens are supposed to be super fast. Do you think flip-flopping TJ and Bud Dupree will help? That's 2 different questions there. Okay, let's start with
Are they
the
in the Open, Bud Dupree?
Yeah, if they're flip.
Tee time.
Bud Dupree?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'd like to see that tee shot right off the bat and where he'd end up. But as far as who I like Jason Day. There are a lot of guys to like. I mean, you put your 20 guys you can pick in a hat. I think Tiger will be competitive, but I don't think he can close the deal.
I saw Tiger listed at 6-1 today, with only 2 golfers with better odds. Does that sound right?
No, I saw him at 18-1 on Sunday, so I'm not sure.
Maybe there's some money coming in on him, but yeah, I thought that was wishful thinking on somebody's part.
Should be a fascinating tournament. It's up there in the Hamptons, and Shinnecock Hills is an old-school golf course with some lightning greens. Man, we'll talk about that and more when we come back right here on Pittsburgh CW.